So first of all, in terms of core features, there are a couple of things. There's a bunch of bug fixes and smaller tweaks that you'll see throughout the application, but a lot of the functionality in the last few versions of Spira have actually been on the AI side. So it's really going to be more interesting, I think, in the second part of this, Inflectra AI. The first part is the core features that are not AI related. And the two main things we've done, other than some bug fixes and smaller enhancements, is really around allowing you to move and export test sets from one project to another. People had asked for this for a while. If you attended a previous webinar a few months ago, you'd remember that we did add functionality to let you have a cross-product test set. That's a test set in product 1 that had test cases in products 2, 3, and 4. Very useful for end-to-end testing. This is something slightly different. This is where you have a test set in product 1 and you want to export it out to another product where you want to reuse it. So we just, again, adding more functionality to help people, export data between different products. And they don't have to have the same template, but they can have the same template, and that will change what gets copied across, like custom fields. The other thing we've improved is the artifact saving. On the save button on a lot of the pages was overly sensitive before. So if you just clicked on a field, it would make you imply it was changed and try and save it, which is annoying. So we spent a lot of time trying to make the save functionality just a bit smoother and get rid of that annoyance. And one of our company goals this year was to delight our customers, and we're putting a lot of emphasis on removing any small annoyances, rough edges, things that maybe have been in the system for a while that we've lived with. How can we get rid of those? And a lot of stuff has been around cross-project, both associations and copying, cloning, and exporting. And then we'll talk about the AI features. I'm going to do a recap probably of all the AI features because some people may not have seen all of them. The main new stuff that we added in the last month or two is around requirements analysis and requirements generation. So you can now build out a product backlog using AI. You can also now use the AI to review your requirements and suggest improvements. And then I'm going to talk a little bit at the end about what's coming next with both Spira and Inflectra AI. There's a question about the Spira app versioning that was released recently. I will show that as well. And actually, if you're curious, where do you find what's coming in Spira? Because that's a good question. All the new stuff. There's two main sources I would suggest. If you want to know kind of the big stuff, go to products, go to product news, and there you'll see there's a versioning Spira app that the person mentioned. And I'll explain how it works. You'll see there's the new repeats functionality. That's in another webinar next week. You'll see we did an improvement for the Jira Marketplace add-on where you can see that we now, inside Jira, can now show you the actual test cases in Jira, which a lot of people love. If you're, again, using Spira with Jira, we would show you the coverage. Now we can show you the actual test cases live in Jira, which is super cool. And the other functionality I'm showing you today, you'll see that all here in Product News. So Product News is a great place to get the big marquee features. If you want the full letter features, what's going on, go to Spira Docs, go to Release Notes, and there you can see both for the core system, like version 8, these are the new features, these are the bugs, fixes, and same thing for Inflectra AI, here's what's coming out, and then you can see the roadmap. So for the full story, go to Spira Docs. For, I would say, the big ticket items, go to Product News. Product News also gives you a bit more, I would say, flavor of what's going on. The release notes and the roadmap give you like this is what was released, this is what it does. The Product News is a bit more interesting in that it gives you why would you use this, what's it for, here's some screenshots. So I think if you find a feature that you're interested in, I would look at probably both places. They serve a little bit different needs. So you go to Product News, which is right here, products on our website, go to Product News. That's where you can see the big items. So there's the versioning Spira app that we just released that I mentioned, and you can scroll down and see the screenshots. You can see there's repeat stuff coming out. There's our Jira Marketplace add-on with the new functionality where you can actually see which test cases are included in a requirement, not just the status. So that's all been released. You'll see there's also some of the new functionality I'm demoing today around the requirements analysis. And as I mentioned, the Product News is a great place to get the story, the screenshots, describing the feature, why you'd use it, what it's for. If you need to convince someone in your organization to buy Inflectra AI, these are great posts to send. If you want to get more of, I would call the nitty gritty, go to the Spira Docs, go to the release notes to tell you what we've released, go to the core version number for the Spira functionality. That will include new features, bug fixes. You can see by version and date. If you want to look at Inflectra AI, we've grouped that in a separate section. These are all the Inflectra AI updates. If you're curious about Jira fixes, you'll see, and then new apps, they're here in the Spira apps and add-on section. And then if you want to see what's coming but not yet released, go to the roadmap. So we do have those two different areas to look at: Spira Docs, various sections, and then the website Product News. If you're interested in seeing stuff that's more around other ideas we're having beyond just, what's coming out. Go to the blog in the insights section, go to insights. You'll see things like new blogs, new content around white papers about how you can use Spira, how AI is changing things, some topics about various things using compliance templates, video. So our insights section is a great resource for more general content and thought leadership. So I would say product news, what's coming out with the products, insights and ideas for more white papers, blogs, things that could be useful about how you use it in a certain context, and then Spira docs for the nitty gritty, what's coming out, when it's coming out, what was the incident number, what was the requirement number, which version is this bug fixed in, all the details. Is the AI you're about to demo for the cloud version only? Yes, I am demoing Inflectra AI. That is only in our cloud version. It's integrated in Spira. It's a flat rate. You add it to your subscription. It's available. We do have legacy add-ons for AI that can be run on premise. So if you're on premise and you have your own Azure account, you can go to the products Spira apps, and you'll notice there are some AI Spira apps here for Bedrock, for OpenAI, and ChatGPT. These are available for Spira. They do some of the functionality we're going to see today, not all of it. The UI is not as sophisticated, and I'll be honest, we're not investing time in enhancing these. These are largely as is. We can open source them so people can edit them and change them, but they're not the focus of active development. Active development on AI is going to be in Inflectra AI, and Inflectra AI is hosted by us in our Amazon account in multiple different regions. We control the security, we control the guardrails. We want to make sure it's secure for our customers. That does mean it has to be a cloud account only. So if you are running Spira on premise and you like the AI you see today and you don't have a cloud version, contact your account manager, contact sales at inflectra.com. We can get you a quote for moving to the cloud. We have some incentives for doing that. We've got some discount programs. We're part of the Amazon workload migration program. They give us credits for every customer that moves. We pass those credits on to you. We've got some other discounts. So it is a good time if you are looking at moving to the cloud. It's very easy to do. We've had about 30 customers so far do it this year in the first half of the year alone. And again, very easy. We get your entire system, your entire database. We take it from you, host it in the cloud, and then you can get AI enabled onto it as well. So definitely the Inflectra AI is cloud only. Okay, some question about click focus. I'm not sure what that is. If you have an issue around something like that, I would log our support team. If you're having an issue with doing something weird in the UI, send an email to support@inflectra.com and they can definitely look into that, send a screenshot. And there's a question about providing functionalities to manage large-scale projects, workload management. Yes, we have resource tracking, we have time tracking. Another question is about developing your own Spira app. Yes, if you want to develop your own Spira app, there is documentation on that, and I can quickly talk about that. So if you're going to develop something in-house, we do have developer documentation. In fact, it's right here. Go to products, go to Spira apps right here, and then go to developer documentation. This describes how you develop them. And if you are going to release this internally, you actually don't need to package it. There's a tool for packaging it into a side loading version, and you can run that yourself. The only reason you need to have it packaged into a release version is if you're going to distribute it externally to other customers. And we have some customers who've done that. They've written apps that they think are really good, and they're not just limited to their own use case. We certainly can help you package it up for external distribution. So that's something you can definitely do. If you are developing a Spira app and you want to use it just for your own internal use, when you go into system settings or general settings, there is an option to enable developer mode. When you enable developer mode, so you go down here, you enable developer mode, hit save, and that will let you side load in your own Spira apps. If you are going to build any kind of Spira app yourself, you can totally do that. You would just go into then Spira apps, and because I've enabled developer mode, you can now see I can install a developer package. I can code this myself. I can package it myself using our packaging tool. Inflectra does not need to get involved. If you want to release it as a production Spira app that other customers can use, we can put it on our marketplace, which is over here. Then you do have to send it to us to review it. We have to do that from a cybersecurity standpoint, just to make it safe for other customers. So those are your two options: build it in-house, deploy it in-house, or you can have us package it for distribution on our website. We're fine either way. Depends a little bit on the use case. If it's something that's really unique to your business, probably side loading is the right way to go. If it's something that you think could be useful elsewhere, then obviously we're happy to distribute it. Okay, so with that, I'm going to jump into the planned agenda and talk about what's come out in the new version, and I'll get to the versioning app at the end of it. So the first thing is the core functionality. So if you go into Spira and let's look at a requirement, first of all, and I click on it, the major change has been in the past, if I go to an existing item that's editable, let's find one that's editable, like this one, here we go. If I was to click on this text box, and if I click here and don't change a value, in the old version of Spira, that would trigger the save func button to become enabled. And if I tried to navigate away by clicking here, it would say, you have a change, do you want to save it or ignore it? And I would have to do something. It wouldn't let me navigate. And it was a pain. And if it was an item that hadn't changed, but maybe it thought it had changed, and I hit save, it would create change history records, which were not, not needed and potentially is in the audit trail. And it certainly was annoying. So what we've done now is we've improved that functionality. It's less sensitive. So now if you make an actual change, the bar goes yellow, the box goes yellow. I hit save. If I choose a drop down, it should change. But just clicking on certain elements should not trigger the change. Now, this has taken us a few versions to get right. If you were on version, I think 8.11 or 12, you may have found, in fact, that sometimes it was not picking up changes. There were a couple of issues we ran into, and there may still be some edge cases we're working through. If you come across an edge case, do please log support ticket. Email support at inflectra.com, include a screenshot because they will want to know. There may be small edge cases where it's not triggering. So if you do find that, if you make a change on something and it isn't triggering the change you expected, you can always force the change by just obviously putting a space in, and changing any text box or any drop down will always force a change. But if you run into some weird edge case, it is possible. Just let us know and we'll make sure we get that fixed. So that's the first thing, big usability change. Now, the next thing was I want to move a test set. So I go into my test sets, see, and then this time is doing what it's supposed to do, which is I've got an unsaved change. Before it did this all the time. So that was annoying. So now the next thing is you can now export test cases and test sets to different projects. So if I go to my test set here, choose the checkbox, go to tools, and I think I have to click on it? I haven't actually seen this yet. Tools. Yep, export to product. So it's from the detail page. Go here, choose the product. I'll put it into an empty product, export, and it's now going to export. That's pretty much the functionality. Before you couldn't do that. It will copy that across. So if we now change to sample product 1, there's my test set. Click on it there. There's my test set. There's my description. There's my parameters. That's important. Copies the parameters over. There's my test cases. And these test cases are in this product. These are new test cases. These are not the original. These are ones that we have copied with the test set. So we're not creating a cross-product dependency because the user may not have set associations to allow that. So that's really important. We are copying it's a deep clone. We're copying the test set. We're copying the test cases. We're copying the parameters. We're copying all the other key meta information. Obviously, the execution status is not run. It has never been run in the new product. It is now ready to be run. There is an estimated duration because we know each test case is estimate. We don't know the actuals because we haven't run them yet. And this test is now available in the new product, ready for use. And that's the functionality of the core system. I'm going to go through the AI stuff, then I'll talk about what's coming next, and then I'm going to show the versioning Spira app, and I'm going to show the Jira integration. Okay, so with that, let's move on to AI functionality. So going back to my original sample project, the AI functionality, some of this is new, some of this was in the system before. I'm just going to give a bit of a complete overview. So, for example, I created a new requirement called, as a customer, I want to book a flight between 2 cities. And if I go into that, let's start with something slightly more basic to show the functionality. I'm going to collapse my requirements down to level 1, and I'm going to create a new top level requirement. So imagine this is an epic, for example, in a new system we're building, and this is a demo. So I'm going to choose a different area of business. I'm going to choose banking. So let's just say, the area I want to create is, my epic is, as a customer, I want to be able to manage my personal banking online. Now, I'm running it in a very general way. That's deliberate. I'm not saying in this, I want to check my balances. I want to make transfers. It's an epic. It's not a feature, not a story. Certainly not enough you could develop with. So now I go into my AI on the list page, and I can generate child requirements. So I'm going to go do that. You can see here it's thinking about the next artifact, and it's got a progress bar, and it's starting to generate some children. and it's now built 5 different requirements. Now, the AI knows about banking. It's got general knowledge. That's how I work. That's how LLMs work. So it thinks about, well, what would I want to do to manage my money online? And I alluded to this already. It's telling me I want to transfer funds, receive alerts, view my balances, track history of my transactions, and set up bill payments. This is pretty good. This is awesome. This is actually what I would think about if I was doing an online banking system. And there's probably a few others that I might have not thought of, but I must admit I wouldn't have thought of alerts. So I'm really glad it thought of that. So I can take this product backlog and I can obviously add my own items to it. I can also drill down one level further. So these are really at the kind of feature level. We've got our epic, we've got our features. What about stories? So let's look at maybe account balance or transferring. Let's do transferring. That's kind of interesting. So I'll do it one more time. I'm going to generate child requirements for just the transfer functionality. Okay. So I want to be able to initiate the transfer, view the transfer, and receive confirmation. That's pretty good. Let me click on that. So I've now got a requirement that was generated by the AI, my product backlog. And now, is this a good requirement? Let's have a look. Well, it's got some good information here. It's got a description of the steps. It's got a high-level name and description. Let's look at the one about viewing the transfer history. That's pretty good. Let's look at the one for a successful transfer. That's pretty good too. But I'm not an expert. What does the AI think about the requirement it wrote? Well, we've got this new feature called analyzing using ears. And if you're not familiar with ears, it stands for Easy Requirement Syntax. It was developed by the automotive and aerospace industries. It's been around for a while. It's being used by a lot of the agentic development tools like Hero or Cursor to be able to build apps autonomously. Helps you define what is a good requirement. And so using this same standard, I can now rate my requirement and also provide suggestions. So let's see what it said. So it gave me a 3 out of 5. Your requirement shows good understanding of the EARS framework and uses event-driven pattern. Here's what I did well. Here's what I did maybe not so well. And now I've got 3 different options. I can improve the description. That's the AI rewriting my requirement. I can create an attachment with the analysis. Well, let's start with that. So I want to document my analysis. Okay. And so if I do that, I will see in the attachment section an analysis of it. There it is. So I've got my analysis recorded from an audit standpoint. I could also create a task, and that can be useful if I'm going to, for example, send this to another system for review. So we have some customers that use Jira to manage their requirements, so they don't want to rewrite it in Spira, although with our bidirectional synchronization, you could, and we would update it in Jira. But let's say you didn't want to actually update it in Jira, you wanted to have a human, review it. You can always create tasks, and that will create a review task in Spira, which can then be synchronized to Jira or ADO or other tools. And that way you can have humans perform the analysis. So you've got 2 kind of non-automated actions. One is to create tasks to rewrite the requirement. One is to create an attachment that records the suggestions for an audit purpose, especially if you decide not to change it. You can at least audit what the AI said. Now, my favorite one, of course, is let the AI do the work for me. I can have it improve the description, and that's going to rewrite the requirement for me. And so it's rewritten the requirement, hit save. And if I go to my history, you can see the history of what it changed as well, word by word, what it added, what it changed. It changed some of the verbs, some of the nouns, added some more information. And you can then rerun that analysis multiple times to get better overview. This was a pretty good requirement. If it was a really horrible requirement, it can give you a 1 out of 5. If it rates it a 5 out of 5, it actually won't give you any options. It'll just say, it's a 5 out of 5, you're good to go. So that's kind of an option. And I didn't show the task option, so just to show you the task option, if I analyze it using ears, I can then create a task as well. So let's go and create a task, and the task will contain how to improve it. And the task contains information there. So it contains very similar to what's in the document, actually. So, and that can be synchronized with Jira too. So that's some of the requirements review functionality. Now, that's the latest functionality we added for AI. But let's talk about I built the backlog. I've got my requirements in good shape. What if I wanted to generate some tests and things for it? How do I do that? Well, but previously you had to go onto each requirement individually and you had to create tests individually. We've now made it a bit easier. You can now check the boxes here. So I could do it for this feature and all the feature and all 3 stories. I can go into the AI now, and from the list page, I can now create test coverage and create tasks and risks. So that's one new thing we added, which is we can now do it in bulk. So it's now going to create tests for every requirement, and it's going to create test steps for every test case that it created. So it's actually creating quite a lot of stuff right now. So it'll take a little bit of time. So it's creating 10 test cases with 65 steps in total. Oh, sorry, I think it's 10 tests for each requirement. So it may still be going. So hold on. Yep, I was right. Yep, it's correct. It's actually 10 test cases per requirement. Uh, so there's going to be probably several thousand steps in aggregate. So let it run while it's doing that. And we do have the progress bar. So it's doing 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4. Once if it does the 4 out of 4, then we're going to, it will complete. So this is a great time saver. I mean, think how much time we're saving right now. Just creating test cases with steps. We can identify risks. We can do BDD. I'll probably do those just individually so we don't take quite so long, but you get the idea. So I now have effectively written, I think it's 40 test cases. Each of these requirements has 10 test cases, both positive and negative, which is great. You can see check fund transfer under high-low, different device types, confirmation messages, check institution balance, positives and negatives. If you click on these, we do obviously create step-level data as well, and some sample parameters as well. So that's how we can use AI to generate my testing information. Now, as well as testing information, I can also go back here and I could decide I wanted to find the scenarios. I'm using Cucumber. I want to create some feature files. Let me change it to a use case type. That will change the icon. I've got to give it a release and a priority in my workflow. That's fine. That's because I assigned tasks, so it changed the status using the auto plan feature. So let me go ahead and use AI. I can now say, give me some BDD scenarios. There we have my scenarios down here in Gherkin syntax. And if you use our Gherkin Spira app, you can even generate feature files, which is nice. There's a positive scenario. There's a negative scenario, another negative scenario, another negative. And that's typical. It will typically create one positive and usually 3 to 4, maybe 5 or 6 negative scenarios. That's quite common. And the last thing is let's identify risks. I know Shrim is on the call. He's one of our risk gurus, so it's good to have risks. As we always say, if you don't manage risks, risks will manage you. And with AI, that's more true than ever. So for this one user story, I can go into my risk register. These are my 4 risks. Let me look at this insufficient funds in the source account. That could be a risk in the system. The transaction will fail. We need to make sure that we check that before we do a transfer. Let's see what mitigations. So the AI can even think about how do we mitigate that functionality, usability, experience issue. Right. One thing would be check the balance real time before you do the transfer. Have a buffer account, have an overdraft automatic feature. Lots of cool ideas here. I mean, this is really great. And think how much time is it? I mean, we're on a webinar. It's in about 6 or 7 minutes. In 6 or 7 minutes, without a lot of clicking and pointing, I have built out a product backlog. I have decided on the test scenarios. I've decided on the risks. And if I spend a bit more time, I could do it for the entire backlog. I could build my entire backlog, adjust it for risk, write the tasks, write the test cases, generate the Gherkin syntax. I could do all of that for that entire epic, probably in half an hour if I was doing nothing else, just sitting heads down. That would take me probably a week to do manually. So it's incredible. And the value here is not just that it's doing it quickly, which obviously is value. The second value is it may have caught edge cases I missed. So that's where we talk about the human digital team. And it is a team, AI and the human together. We are together doing things faster and doing things better because we're finding things. I will, of course, add my own risks. I will, of course, write my own test cases beyond the ones it generated. So together, it thought of maybe 10 tests, maybe 8 are good, 2 will delete. I'll add 4 more of my own. We've now got 12 tests per requirement. Together, we've created a much better test coverage. The machine and the human together, improving our thinking together. So, I mean, that's really the value here. Speed and quality both being improved. So that's a good overview of the generation functionality, writing requirements, writing a backlog, generating test cases. Any questions on the AI functionality we've released successively over the last few versions? Let's look in the chat. Can I export the test cases to ADO? No, you cannot export test cases to ADO. Customers typically use Spira instead of ADO. We can integrate with ADO for sure, and you can pull requirements in from ADO, and you can then use Spira for test management, and we can push the defects back to ADO. But we don't, integrate test cases with ADO. We can migrate from ADO for sure. So there's 2 options, I guess. One is you can migrate your test case from ADO and use Spira. The other option is you could write them natively in Spira from the requirements that come in from ADO. So we definitely integrate with ADO, but it's not at the test case level. It's at the requirement level, the task level, and the defect tracking level. And that's typically because customers that are using ADO like the backlogs, they like the planning, but they don't like the test plans module. And so we can use Spira Test to be an alternative to the test plans module. The next question was, is what you demonstrated today supported with the ChatGPT Spira app? Some of it is, but not all of it. The legacy ChatGPT Spira app can generate test cases, it can generate risks and mitigations, and it can generate BDD scenarios. It cannot do requirements analysis, and it cannot generate requirements. It also can only do it on this detailed page, like this page. It cannot do it on the list page. So I'm just to be honest, we are not adding any more functionality to the ChatGPT plugin. It will all be in Inflectra AI, our embedded native functionality, which is cloud only. Next question. Can you have the AI, and also we can create more detailed test steps as well. Are you able to have the AI go out and retrieve policy data to write test cases? The AI is limited to data in Spira by design. So at least currently, from a compliance standpoint, so the data in Spira, so the AI in Spira can access data in your Spira, and it does that. We host it in the same data privacy, data residency region. If you were to import policy data into Spira using an import tool as requirements, then we can obviously generate from that. So you have to currently, at least, manually bring that data into Spira first. Now, there's a couple of things around future functionality, which I'll talk about in a second, where we want to go next. So currently, if you want that stuff in Spira, you'd have to import the requirements policies into Spira from a document into the requirements tree, and then we could do it. The question was also LLM. Depends on the region you're in. We use Amazon Bedrock as our platform. And if you are curious, I wish to show you. If you go to our company responsible AI statement, we describe here how we use AI, what we don't use for AI. There's no training of the data. We have SOC 2 compliance. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here we have around how we're doing it. It does also describe the models we're using. We're using the Amazon Nova model in most regions. We're using the Claude Haiku model in other regions. So just to use, and that's because Nova is not yet available in every region. And one thing from a privacy standpoint, if you're hosted in Europe, the LLM lives in Europe. If you're hosted in Australia, the LLM lives in Australia. If you're hosted in, say, in the US or Canada, the LLM lives in Canada or US. And any other region we support or add in the future, like we're going to add a region for Dubai and probably Saudi Arabia when Amazon supports that, those will all be separate regions with separate LLMs. We do that from our data privacy standpoint, but because not every LLM is available in every region, that's why you might have some differences. The licensing for Inflectra AI, great question. It's priced by number of concurrent users, like everything else in our platform. If you go to products, go to Inflectra AI, scroll down. The pricing is based on the number of concurrent users, and it gets added onto your subscription, and that's pretty much it. Unlimited usage, no tokens, no counting, no limits, literally use as much as you want, just the number of users. And we did it that way to give people budget certainty. So they're not feeling like they're going to run out and, oh, I've been doing a bunch of queries, my bill's going to be crazy. It's all predictable, very manageable. And the other thing I should mention when we talk about future functionality is this licensing covers Spira and Rapise for AI. So you're getting everything in one. So let's talk about what's coming next. But for a second, then I'll come back to the other question, because I think it's relevant. On the Spira side of the house, the next piece of AI will be two things. One is release summarization and analysis. So being able to go into a release like this one here and saying, analyze this release, and it will look at all the artifacts, all the things you see here, the incidents, the tasks, the test cases, the runs, and it will give you analysis of this release. That's the next thing coming next month or so. Then the second next highest priority is the idea that you could go into the document section, and initially the vision is you could go into the document section and you could upload a screenshot. I don't know how many screenshots here, but imagine I had a screenshot. You could upload a screenshot and you can say generate requirements. And the use case there will be, I'm an implementer of an ERP system. I don't have access to the requirements. It's Oracle, it's Salesforce, or it's a CRM, it's Salesforce, it's ServiceNow, or something older even. I've got screenshots and I want to generate requirements because I've got to independently test it, but I don't have good requirements from the vendor. What if I uploaded my user manual, basically screenshots and manuals? Can I generate requirements from that? So that's the next use case, because we see a lot of value there. And it's similar to the question about policy documents. It's not exactly the same, but longer term, again, that's a great point. Wouldn't it be great if you could upload a policy document, a full like a PDF or something, and analyze that? There's some functionality there. We maybe have to use Amazon's Tesseract service to extract it, do some OCR, but definitely That's where we're going. So the next piece will be release summarization. The next after that will be screenshot analysis and requirements generation. And there's some other things we're going to do as well. But those are kind of the next two use cases coming out soon. How do we enable Inflectra AI for our users? Well, first you got to pay for it. So assuming you've added it to your subscription, which our sales team can do for you, you can also go to your customer area. So if you want to go to your customer area, which is right here. This is my customer area. Go into your customer area. If you have a subscription to Spira, my cloud subscriptions, there should be a customized option. This is the one I'm using for today's webinar. I already have Inflectra AI added, so you don't see it. But if I don't have it added, you'll see Inflectra AI add feature, put in your credit card, push a button. You've now got Inflectra AI. Once you've done that, you've added it to your subscription. Then you just go into the settings. It is opt-in for safety. We do that because from a compliance standpoint, go into your general settings, go down to the bottom, and Inflectra AI, make that yes. And then for every product that's going to use it, go into the product settings, and that's right here, and then enable it here. And that's it. Now, why is it on both? Because you may have a situation where you want to be able to enable it for the system, but maybe only on some sample POC projects, not for your current production system. So that's why you enable it system-wide, but only enable it for the specific opt-in projects that are ready for it. Some customers want to have everyone use it. I know some others are doing internal POCs. So that's why we did it that way. So it's designed to be opt-in at a system level and a product level. Next question was, can a company subscribe some users with AI and some without? Not from a pricing standpoint. We know, unfortunately not. If you buy it, it's for everyone. So if you've got a 20 user license of Spira, you will have to get a 20 user license of Inflectra AI. We do require license parity. That's not true of Rapise. That's not true of data sync, but you will need that. Now, the second part of what's coming is on the Rapise side of the house. As you may know, we have AI in Rapise already. And if you go to Rapise, and let me load it quickly. Again, I'm not demoing Rapise today because it's outside of today's agenda. There's a webinar, I think, next week. The teammates are covering that. But if you go to the settings in Rapise, for example, when it loads, you can bring your own LLM today. You can go there and you can bring in, Gemini, you can bring in OpenAI, you can bring in Amazon. We've got lots of options, but you've got to pay for those separately. So what we've added is a new option, which is not yet available. So mine won't have it yet, so you won't see it. But if you go to your AI dashboard, today what you'll see is what you see here. I've got my Amazon Bedrock, I've got my Azure, I've got my OpenAI. Okay, those are my options. What you're going to have once we release the next version of Rapise at the end of the month will be Inflectra AI as an option. And when you choose that option, it will simply use the existing Inflectra AI license that you have. So if you've got Inflectra AI, so if you've gone here and you've gone to Inflectra AI and you've bought the add-on, and again, the pricing is right here, as of today, that will give you AI unlimited usage in Spira. But at the end of the month, when Rapise comes out with the next version, 8.6, I believe, you will have Inflectra AI unlimited usage also in Rapise for the same price. So what you'll need is Spira plus Rapise plus Inflectra AI, and now you've got unlimited AI. You don't need to bring your own LLM. You don't need to bring your own GPT or your own Gemini or anything else. It's all baked into this flat rate subscription, very predictable, and again, very cost efficient. So that's what's coming and what's already live. Let me go over to the questions. That was the chat window. There's more in the Q&A. We'll talk about Jira. Yep, got that listed. Anything else? Let's see. Okay, just to clarify, when importing the test sets, does it have to be another product you have access to? When you're actually exporting it, does it have to be another project you have access to? I believe so. I haven't tried it without. The team, I'm sure, has done testing on it. I believe you have to have access to it to create the test sets. If not, I'll double check with our team log a ticket, but I believe that's the case. It should be, yeah. And that will mean you have to be able to create test cases and test sets both, because we are creating new test cases. It's not existing ones. Can you use AI to read in industrial standards and create parent requirements and test events? Not currently. You could obviously, what you could do is you could get the industrial standards. You could use our MS Word import tool. You could import them as requirements in part of the tree, and then you could do what I did, which is to take the requirements and generate child requirements from those standards. Now, it's a little bit clunky probably today to do that way, but you can certainly do that. In the future, we'll be able to do it from the document section, but not yet today. So the answer there is you can sort of do it today, but it will become much easier once we add that functionality to the documents part of Spira, because you'll go into documents and you'll have the AI icon when you click on it. Because the way Spira works is if there's no AI functionality on that screen, you don't see the icon. So if I go to a document Like there's no AI button here, but there will be, and that will be the option to take your document or screenshot and generate requirements from that. Whereas if you go to say requirements section, you'll see there is the icon. If I click on an individual one, you'll see there is the icon. So you'll always know where AI is. You can obviously read the manual too, but if you don't want to read the manual, which is fine, the icon will tell you where it's available. And when you click on it, it will tell you basically what you can do for that section. So that's kind of the functionality again. The questions were around Jira and the versioning add-on. So let's go ahead and do Jira first, and then we'll do the versioning add-on, if that's okay. So let me jump over to my Jira instance of Spira quickly. So let me do that with my password manager. I recommend you use a password manager, please. Good for security. So let's jump into Jira. So this is my Jira demo project. And if I go to my requirements, these are requirements that come in from the Jira backlog. We synchronize with Jira, as you probably know. If you go into administration and you go into data synchronization, you can synchronize with various different tools. Here I've got Jira, ADO, back to the earlier ADO question, GitLab and GitHub. And so we do synchronize with all these different tools, different projects can synchronize with different ones. So let me go to Jira. And if I go back to my requirements in this project, which are right here. If I scroll down, this is a good one. It's a requirement that's got 6 test cases. You can see some green, 2 passes, I think three fails and 1 not run. So if I click on that, I can see in Spira, I see my nice little test coverage icon. I see my test coverage tab, the details. Now, when I go over to Jira, previously in Spira, previously on LA Law, previously on Spira, you could see just this little bar chart right here, and you could see there's my 2 tests, 3 tests, 1 test. So that's what we would have seen, a month ago. We released a new version of this, and now if you click on this, you get that. So now you get the actual test case name, ID, and individual status from Spira right here in Jira. Now, if you click on those links, that will open it in Spira. It is not, the test case itself is not embedded, obviously. The test case lives in Spira, there's the URL, but you've now got much more details right here in Jira, so your developers don't have to be like clicking into Spira just to get this level of detail. A lot of people have asked for this functionality. So that's the main changes. Whereas before we always had this little coverage bar, we now can give you the details of the tests and the bar, effectively replicating what you see here, where I've got my coverage bar and I've got my test case tab. So that's what we've added. That's the main change in functionality. So in the Jira side of things, we did make some other functionality improvements. I think I've got a video recording some of this. I probably won't go through all those today, but we do have integrations in the Jira side. We did add functionality. If you go to the release notes and you go to add integrations, we added this new Jira coverage app. That's the thing I just showed you. That's the new add-on to show the test cases. We've also fixed some bugs. We released a new version called 8.0. This was back in June. This had a lot of new features. This lets you bidirectionally sync things. It lets you synchronize releases. It lets you synchronize the epic feature story hierarchy. It allows you to bidirectionally synchronize requirements. There's a lot of new options we added. You can now not sync comments. You can sync comments. You can sync some types, not all types. There's a load of new options that were based on a lot of feedback from over the last 3 years that we implemented. So this was our major update to the integration. And we designed it so that if you didn't change your settings, it works the way it did before. You have to opt into these changes by changing some of the settings. So that was an important design. We did find a few cases where people ran into issues where, because we now synchronize more things, and some cases were different, their security was blocking certain things. So we had to fix a few bugs. And we also had to have a new option where we prevented it, which is 8.2, preventing releases being synchronized. Some customers had their user in Jira not allow editing the release. And so our sync was having a problem because obviously it was trying to synchronize the dates, synchronize the name, synchronize the version number, all that stuff. And the user in Jira was blocking it. And that meant the sync couldn't fully work. So we added a new option called create releases only, but don't edit them. And that prevents updates in Jira, which were being blocked. So there are a lot more settings. So I'm not going to have time to go into every single change, but the key I would say would be go into your Jira plugin, which is down here. Hold on, go to Jira. And you'll see there's a load more settings. Like previously, I think we had 10 settings, no, 5 settings. Now we have a lot more. Jira special fields, task type, sync mode. There's a lot more sync modes than before. Click on that link to see the modes, types, link types, types to skip comments, map properties. Do I want to sync the hierarchy, use plain text, use rich text? A load of options are here now. If you don't edit them, they will largely be the same as they were historically, legacy. If you want to change the functionality, you now can do that. So there's a lot of changes we made available in the 8.0, 1, 8.2 updates to the plugin. Okay, moving on to Q&A. In order to show the test case info in Jira, does it copy the acceptance criteria from Jira into the requirement artifact? Yeah, if you have the integration with Jira turned on and you have an acceptance criteria field in Jira that's a text field, it would copy that into the requirement acceptance criteria text field in Spira. So we synchronize custom fields and standard fields. You would need to make sure that field is mapped, but assuming that is the case, the description and the acceptance criteria in Jira would copy across into Spira, and then you can use that to generate test cases using AI as well. So you can take your requirements from Jira, they come into Spira, and then you can use the AI to build the test cases in Spira. And you can even improve the requirements in Jira, either automatically by synchronizing in both directions or generating a task which we push back to Jira for people manually to do it. So there's a couple of options there. Another question, using Inflectra AI, would we be able to feed an asset list and have it generate individual test cases using the values? Right now, if you fed an asset list in as a list of requirements, it would generate test cases for those requirements. It's not going to build an exact asset list. It will build it based on thinking their requirements. So you might want to create a requirement with a bulleted list of assets, and that will probably be easier. I would probably say it's worth submitting as a support ticket so we can add it to our backlog of ideas. We have lots and lots of ideas for AI, and we're adding, again, the release summarization is next. And then the next one is the image to requirements. There's a lot of ideas people are giving to us. So definitely, we are releasing AI functionality more quickly at this point than the core Spira app, core Spira system. And so those ideas are getting into production really fast. So definitely send us your ideas. We'll get the Q&A from this webinar as well. The last question, or the last area people asked for, was around the versioning app. So I'm going to run over to another instance of Spira that has that turned on because I'm just trying to, again, be a little bit efficient with time here. So let me close that one. And so the versioning Spira app is available on the Spira app marketplace. You just go into Spira apps and you would go here. And you would scroll down and you would make sure you have versioning turned on. There it is. You just click on it, download it. There it is on my machine, and upload it. There you go, turn it on by clicking the little icon to turn it on. There are no settings at the system level. The settings are all at the product level. So let me now go into my product. So to enable it, you have to go into Spira apps. You turn on versioning, like that. Go to settings. And then you need to have a custom property that contains the version number. So we do have to go ahead and create, same for test cases. So let me go ahead and create a new custom property. And I will choose that. I'll call it version. Not the most original name, but it's okay. And then I will go into back into my Spira app, which is right here. And I will go into settings. And I go to version like that. And I need to put the template. What am I going to call it? So actually it would be version like that. And that means I need a text field. So clearly I change my type. So that's going to be version and then the number. So actually let's put a colon. I want a colon. Hit save. And now I just need to make one tweak because I need it to be a text field because I'm not using a pure number. If I was using just the word number, that's just the number by itself, and I wasn't using version colon, I could use an integer field, but I just realized I need a text field. Okay. All right. Now I go back to my requirements, and I only got a few minutes, so I'm going to just do this quickly for you. There's my requirement, and I say, okay, version. Let's label this as a new version, version 1. Let's give, and it's going to force a save. So I'm going to fill the required field in. There's version 1. Nice. And then what we'll do is we'll use AI. Let's update my requirement. Use some AI, help me out here. There we go. I'm going to improve my requirement. Great, it's improved. And that's version 2. Hit save. And there is a weird bug. I'm going to mention it. There is a bug right now where changing the version number by itself is not triggering a save. So I will need to change something to save it. Like that, hit save. We are aware of that. And now go to history, and you'll see, there we go. I had version 1, I changed it, now got version 2. And so I'm now tracking my version. So it allows me to selectively say, which version is this? And basically, it's an automated way of just tracking the versions. Now, obviously, you can make multiple changes and then create a new version. So I did it quickly with a single change, but that required might have 6 different fields, might be different metadata. When you decide as a user when to say this is the next version, and that gets captured in the history log along with the actual changes that were made. So that's pretty much the Spira app. It's very simple. Does it on requirements, does it on test cases, and it adds this little app right here. Versioning is different to baselining. Baselining is actually more powerful. Baselining is a built-in feature that will tag the change history with specific snapshot points. That's built into the system. There's no need to have a Spira app. The reason we added the Spira app is what we found is, although the baselining functionality is really powerful, people wanted to have individual version numbers per test case or per requirement. Baseline is across the system. A baseline would say, I'm at baseline 1126, snapshot 1, which links to change ID 1126. So that's a label across the entire project. So baselining lets me snapshot the whole system at different key points and track differences. And that's really powerful. Versioning allows you to do it per artifact, where you want to have a different version of each test case. So in a baseline, I might have, version 1 of this test case, version 2 of that test case, version 1 of another test case, version 5 of a different test case. That's the difference. Baselining is across the project. Versioning Spira app is really to track it at the artifact level. And you can do both. They both work well together, but they're slightly different. So that's the difference. I would just like to say, if you like the Inflectra AI functionality, one thing you can do today, if you want to try it out, but don't want to necessarily, commit to paying for it yet, which I get, simply go to our website and sign up go to Spira Team or Spira Plan is my recommendation. Go to free trial, sign up for a new trial of Spira Team or Plan. When you sign up for the trial, put the URL in, but check the box for Inflectra AI. And now you can try it out. And that way you can try it out completely for free and see how it works. Try it with your data, or sanitized data at least, and then get a feel for it. If you like it, then you can obviously add it to your real instance. But that way you can try it out risk-free today at no cost. So always good to do that. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching today. And if you are curious what other things are coming up, go to the company website, go to events, and you'll see the upcoming events. Thanks again for attending. That was great. And have a great rest of the day, evening, wherever you are, and see you at the next webinar.